The question rippled through the command post before anyone realized it had been spoken out loud. Who is she targeting? The SEAL commander stood frozen, eyes locked on the distant ridge where a lone figure lay prone, calm and unmoving, as if the mountain itself had chosen a guardian. The valley stretched wide and exposed, every decision carrying the weight of lives. No one breathed. No one dared to interrupt. And then, from farther away than any of them believed possible, a single decision crossed the line between doubt and destiny. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more stories about extraordinary people. Her name was Mara Hall, though very few in the task force knew it. Fewer still knew her history. She had arrived with the last transport at dawn, carrying no rank insignia that drew attention. No stories volunteered, no explanations offered. To the operators who measured worth by scars and deployments, she looked out of place. Smaller frame, quiet presence, eyes that did not wander. She spoke only when asked, and even then, with restraint that unsettled men used to bravado. The valley below was hostile territory. A long bowl of broken stone and dust, ringed by ridgelines that turned every movement into a risk. Intelligence had warned of an ambush. Signals chatter pointed to a coordinated strike, waiting for the unit once they advanced past the narrow pass. The enemy commander was experienced, disciplined, and patient. He had bled units before by letting them believe the danger had passed. Mara had studied the terrain in silence, while others debated routes and contingencies. When the commander asked if anyone saw a way to neutralize the threat before the team moved, she spoke for the first time without being prompted. Her voice was steady. There is a shooter positioned on the eastern ridge, near the shell cut, using the shadow line for concealment. If he fires, it will be at the moment the lead element reaches the pass. A pause followed. Someone scoffed. Another asked how she could be sure. The distance was extreme. Beyond the range most snipers trained to engage. She did not argue. She simply requested permission to set up. The commander hesitated. He had learned to trust instinct, but instinct also warned him of overconfidence. Still, something in her certainty cut through the noise. He gave the nod. Mara moved with economy, selecting a firing position that offered stability without exposure. She adjusted for altitude, temperature, and wind that shifted unpredictably through the valley. Every calculation mattered. At this range, perfection was not a luxury. It was a requirement. As minutes passed, tension thickened. A few operators exchanged glances that mixed doubt and curiosity. One muttered that this was a waste of time. Another wondered aloud who she thought she was, taking a shot no one else would attempt. Mara did not react. Her world narrowed to variables and breath control, to the understanding that fear was useful only if it sharpened focus. She remembered the training that had nearly broken her. The instructors who had told her limits were facts, not suggestions. She remembered proving them wrong quietly. Again and again, the commander watched through optics, trying to see what she saw. The ridge looked empty, stone and shadow. Nothing more. He felt the weight of responsibility settle heavier on his chest. If she was wrong, the unit would move blind. If she was right, this single moment could decide everything. She waited. Time stretched, then compressed. A figure shifted on the far ridge, almost imperceptible, a movement that would have gone unnoticed by anyone not looking for it. Mara's focus sharpened. The shooter was adjusting, preparing to engage. The ambush was real. She exhaled, not as a release of tension, but as a signal to herself that the decision was complete. At a distance measured in thousands of meters. The shot was less an act of force than a trust in preparation. Trust in physics. Trust in discipline. Trust in the quiet voice that had guided her here. The impact was unseen by the command post, but its effect was immediate. The hostile presence vanished from the ridge. No return fire followed. The valley remained still for a heartbeat. No one spoke. Then the commander lowered his optics, disbelief giving way to clarity. The threat had been neutralized before it could claim a single life. The ambush had been broken without the enemy ever knowing how close they had come. Mara rose slowly, securing her position, her expression unchanged. She did not look for approval. She did not wait for praise. The unit advanced through the past minutes later, alert but unchallenged. What should have been chaos passed as controlled movement. Lives were spared because one person had seen farther than anyone expected. Back at the command post, the commander finally asked the question that had been forming since dawn. Where did you learn to do that? Mara met his gaze. From people who believed distance was just another obstacle. There was respect in the silence that followed. Not the loud kind that demanded attention, but the quiet kind that acknowledged truth. In the days that followed, her name circulated differently. No longer a curiosity. No longer a doubt. She became a reminder that capability does not always announce itself, and that the most decisive moments often belong to those willing to stand alone with their conviction. The valley returned to memory. Another place marked by choices and consequences. For the commander, the lesson stayed sharp. Leadership was not about knowing everything, but about recognizing when someone else saw what you could not. For Mara, it was another mission completed, another line in a story she never told unless asked. She carried no bitterness toward those who had doubted her. She understood that trust is earned in moments that cannot be rehearsed. Somewhere beyond the ridge, the wind continued its restless path, indifferent to human fear and courage. But for the men and women who walked out of that valley alive, the echo of that decision would remain, a testament to precision, patience, and the power of quiet certainty. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.